Hey there, Team Kim Brightness here at TeamJesusMag.com. Listen, the upcoming movie, The Best of Enemies, starring Taraji P. Henson and Academy Award winner Sam Rockwell, is based on a true story. It's about the unlikely relationship between Ann Atwater, a civil rights activist, and C.P. Ellis, a local KKK leader, who both agreed to co-chair a community summit, or charrette, on school desegregation in Durham, North Carolina. Today's locker room guest was the actual leader of that charrette, which helped diffuse racial tensions and change Durham forever. Please help us welcome to the locker room Mr. Bill Riddick. How are you, Mr. Riddick?
I'm doing well.
Good. We're so glad to have you today to sit and chat a second about all of your great work in how to diffuse racial tensions. I mean, we saw an early screening of The Best of Enemies, and your character's reaction when you got the call to help this racially charged situation was real. It was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So tell us what compelled you to actually say yes.
Well, I knew the person who called me well, and he wouldn't call me unless there was a crisis.
Wow.
Obviously, I had the choice to go or not to go, but in this case, I felt it was necessary.
I hear you. And no regrets. I mean, when you look back at the situation, it was the right thing to do, definitely. So as a teammate, Mr. Riddick, and a believer, what role does your faith in God play when you're leading people through conflict resolution?
You know, in my later years, and I look back at what happened, I used to think it was because I considered myself to be kind of smart and I could maneuver things, but that wasn't the case at all. The Lord had all this in his hand, and he perfectly did it for me. I wish I had known at that time what I know now.
We all have to grow into knowing where his hand is in our lives, don't we?
That's the truth. That is the very truth.
Yeah, definitely. So listen, as we take a look at ourselves today, what's one thing or two things that we can do to have more meaningful conversations that bring about change? What can we do? What are we missing maybe within ourselves?
Well, I hope the movie will point toward one thing, across this country, and that is a little bit of a self-evaluation. I had issues with both Ann and CP, and I had to solve my own issues before I could help them solve their issues. So I think today, if you go see the movie and that stirs you a little bit, look in the mirror and kind of say, what am I doing? What are my biases that harm other people? And it might be unintentional, but you know you have that bias, and then try to make some changes. If we could do that, I think I'd be satisfied.
Wow, that's amazing. And there's also, I think, as we watch the movie, we can see how or what role pride plays in a lot of our biases.
Well, that's true. You know, each of these individuals were actually representing what I call low-wealth people, and that was status for them. It was that status that allowed them to feel good about what they were doing and how they were doing it. And unfortunately, I think that about the fifth or sixth day, they started to understand that leadership is a lot different than yourself and what glory you bring or have to yourself, and started to look at people they represented.
Wow, that's good stuff, Mr. Riddick. Definitely. So listen, this was 1971. All of this is taking place. I mean, it was, if we compare 71 to 2019, we would think, wow, it must have been really hard to do that back then. But what can we bring from 71 to 2019 today? regarding the racial tensions that are still going on today? What's missing in maybe some of our assessments or some of the tools that we're using?
I think there are a lot of issues that existed that people sort of put behind them or kind of hid from their own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But there has been, over the last 2 or 3 years, there has been a refocus on I'm better than you kind of attitude in America. And it has caused serious divisiveness, and it has caused serious pain for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that we have to change our message, and I don't quite know how that should be done, but it has to change. If not, America is going to suffer greatly from it.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And what's amazing is us being the body of Christ, we have the solution for the world today. What role do you think the church plays in these conversations?
The church, and I'm talking about my neighborhood, our churches have regressed from the issues of people, and we have not included a lot of people who need to be in church. We have not encouraged them to come. So I believe if you look at churches in my neighborhood, that if you go back 10 years ago, the community and the church was one in a whole. And now the church has separated itself from the whole community. And I think we have to reevaluate where we stand religiously and where we stand in the sense of being Christ-like.
Oh, wow, that is good stuff. That is good. We definitely do, because times are changing and time is coming to an end. I mean, time is running out. We have to redeem time so that we can show the world the love of Christ. And and what you're saying is it's not just about the world, about the systems, about politics. We as the body of Christ have a role to play in this as well, definitely.
If you remember the Civil Rights Movement, it was all based on your faith and belief.
Mm-hmm.
Every speech almost that Martin King made, it was about faith and belief and equality.
Mm-hmm.
The church has lost that message. And when the church loses that message, they lose the connectiveness that struggling people have in the neighborhood. And consequently, then, they decide that church is not going to help me. And I don't mean help financially, but help me with the struggles that I'm facing about having a job that won't pay minimum wage, that only pays minimum wage, and all of the other facts, high rent, all these things that the church used to get involved in and have some say-so about it. We have decided that that's not appropriate for us now.
Wow. Well, listen, Mr. Riddick, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with us today. We loved the movie, and we appreciate what we learned through your process in the movie. So thank you again for sharing with us. You have a great day.
Thank you very much.